And welcome back to the big show. I'm genuinely excited about our next guest, Dan Dakich, because I'm a Dan Dakich fan, by the way. You can listen to him every day on OutKick, OutKick.com. And if I don't actually listen to the entire show from 9 to 11 Eastern, I catch excerpts on X, which are awesome, because it's 6 or 8 minutes of Dan making his case, and he's emphatic always, and I love it. And Dan Dakich joins us now. Danny, thanks so much for the time today. Congrats on all the success. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I mean, as we were talking off air, it beats the hell out of working. I mean, do some shows, talk, give opinions, and Outkick. Outkick's great, man. Clay Travis and the group, there's best team I've ever been on. Just got a team full of producers and people, everybody moving in the same direction. Doug, it's really a lot of fun, really fun.
Yeah, Clay Travis is a genius, and all you guys, all the hosts, kind of bring something different to the table, and I really enjoy it. Hey, for our listeners, I did Bowling Green games way back in the day when I was doing some play-by-play for ESPN. Met you then, but then I saw you at Crooked Stick, early years of the FedEx Cup playoffs, and I was doing play-by-play, and you were signing autographs and taking pictures and loving golf. I mean, you obviously love the game of golf, Dan. I think that goes without saying.
I grew up playing at a municipal course in Gary, Indiana called South Gleason, and we played for $1 a day. It was like $1 was the charge, and I fell in love with it. My dad liked to play, and my brother, my cousins, we would all get dropped off at this course and play all day, and then go play Little League or whatever we did at night. So, Doug, I play about every day almost. My wife likes to play. I got a group of guys that we play, bet our faces off, talk smack. It's not the most polite golf, but it's our version, Doug. And like you and everybody else, man, Doug, I'm 61, and guys our age, there's not a lot we can compete in, right? I'm not gonna go out and play basketball or anything like that, but I'll compete like hell. In golf. I'll bet anything anybody wants in golf as long as it's fair. So, yeah, man, I've been in love with the game since I was a little kid.
I want to talk to you about a couple of topics other than golf, but I got to mention July 15th, the 14th annual Indianapolis Horseshoe Tom Dakich Memorial Golf Outing. I mean, I was reading all the stuff that you do, Dan. Now, that sounds like a fun day of golf.
I can run a golf tournament. I get you in, I get you out. We got a lot of booze. We got a lot of food. My mom told me my dad's only been dead 10 years. Why he's the 14th annual? And we're like, I don't know. He seemed kind of dead before that anyway, so what the hell? But all the money goes to my wife and I started a charity where we give bikes to kids, needy kids in Indianapolis. Bikes were really important, Doug, to my wife and to myself growing up. It was freedom, and we were driving down the street one day and we saw 3 kids, 2 had bikes, 1 didn't, and he was kind of running alongside and just started using our platform to give away bikes. And the next thing you know, Indianapolis, the Sports Corp and Dick's Sporting Goods got involved, and now we just gave away 20 this weekend at the Horseshoe Indianapolis Racetrack and Casino here. So it's great, man. Thanks for mentioning it. Much appreciated.
Yeah, good for you. One of these days I'll play in it, but I'm always working. But that's another story. Let's talk a little Caitlyn Clark in your hometown, Indiana Fever. She's obviously in the headlines virtually every day. Rebecca Lobo came out today and said basically when she was playing at Iowa at the end of the season, that's when all the tryout camps were happening. And basically, Rebecca said that the 12 ladies that are on the team, it was a foregone conclusion. I mean, are we making too big of a deal out of this, Dan, or should there be an exception made and get this young lady on the Olympic team?
Well, I think we are making too big a deal about it. But I also think, women's basketball, I think they're missing an opportunity here. I think you have a chance to really grow the game. And I think that's what women in sports, I think I told you this, my wife is a 25-year college softball coach. She's actually a legend, winningest coach all time at Syracuse and at Bowling Green, was an All-American. And she said, and she's always got these interesting takes, she said, when Caitlyn Clark comes into WNBA, the jealousy is going to be unbelievable. Women cannot stand to see other women succeed. And wow. I think we've seen that. But, I get it. If you're the head of the committee, you want to win. like, I don't give a damn. Like Coach Knight in 1984, I used to go to the Olympic trials, and he cut Charles Barkley. He
Yes.
cut, Karl Malone, John Stockton, and I don't think he cared who he was going to have on the team. He just wanted the guys that he felt fit. So I get that, but women's basketball is in a different space, Doug, and women's basketball has been begging for attention. And, this is arguably the most famous basketball player, men or women, in the world right now. And should she have been on the team? Should you do it for marketing? I would argue yes in both cases. Is it a big deal? Probably not. But if I were NBC, Doug, I'd hire her. I'd hire her to come out there and I don't know if she needs to be an analyst for basketball, maybe, or an analyst for any women's sports. Doug, you know this. NBC paid a lot of money for women's, or excuse me, for the Olympics. And how do you get that money back? You get it from eyeballs. And she'll bring eyeballs, man. But, hey, look, the women that are on the team are deserving. I get what Rebecca's saying. There's a process, and she'll have plenty of time to be on it. But I do think it was a missed opportunity, Doug. I do.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that championship game will be on a Sunday morning at a crazy time. And I will not – listen, they're going to win the gold. They haven't lost since 1992. But if she was on the team, I would probably get up early and watch, even if she only played a few minutes, I
agree. And I follow betting pretty close. I think Belgium is the second favorite after United States at minus like 14,000. So, it's like you, me, the nuns at my old high school, 3 retired players could go win that. So I'm with you, man. I am so with you. I would watch now. I'm not watching.
I honestly didn't know Belgium was the second favorite there. Yeah. Glad you told me that. Hey, let's talk a little Danny Hurley. I know you know the Hurley family, and they are basketball personified. I mean, that whole family, even the mom, they lived in the gym. They still live in the gym. Him going to the Lakers seemed like kind of an oddball thing. He obviously did his due diligence, went out there, talked to him. He did the right thing. I don't think he legitimately was even considering it. Dan, I mean, what do you make of the whole thing? I mean, obviously he got a better contract from UConn, right?
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. This is a basketball family, and it didn't feel like the right fit. Now, if you'd have said the Celtics or the Knicks, okay. But I got to tell you, Doug, I was shocked. I thought they lowballed him. The offer that I saw, we looked it up. $17.5 million is what Steve Kerr's making as the number 1 paid coach. Okay, I get that, but you know what? There's other guys. Monty Williams making about $15 million with the Pistons after he got fired from the Suns, and we were all, you know how you do. What are they going to offer him? Well, I kind of thought, 5 years in the $15 million range, or $17 million. I mean, I don't know. And that sounds stupid to say $60 million is lowballing somebody, but if you look at the contracts, and the other thing that was interesting, and I don't know the background here, but I do know this: if you want a coach, you go see the coach, you go visit the coach, you go out there. I mean, I know they brought him out and all that stuff, and that's great. I was just surprised. Danny came on my show, and we played it this morning on my show, and I'd forgotten he'd said, you like when you have leverage. You'd like to get UConn to double down to help us continue to grow. And, they did. So I'm glad he's back. And I texted him. I said, look, man, I want someone to root for. I root for my son's Illinois State team. I root for my alma mater. And I like Izzo, so I root for them. But other than that, I really like the way Danny goes about his business. So I'm glad for college basketball. Good for UConn. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of a low ball offer, if that number's correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think he went out there with respect for the Lakers, and I thought he was kind of in a Brad Stevens situation. The Lakers may hire him to be head coach for 4 years. He'd move into the team president's role, and I was thinking that would work, right? But I don't think that was ever in the equation. They just wanted to hire a coach, maybe a name coach, right?
Well, there's a lot of things when you go visit the Lakers. Like, do you have to have – I'll give you a story. Tom Izzo told me this when the Cavaliers were offering him their job. LeBron was a young superstar. He wanted to talk to LeBron. but he could never get to LeBron. The thought was, look, if I'm going to take the Cavaliers job, I better know how LeBron feels about this. I mean, it's not college, it's the NBA, for crying out loud. So I asked Charles Barkley that. I said, does he still need to have LeBron's blessing? And Charles' answer was, yeah, he probably does, even though it's late in the career. Now, do you want to throw yourself into all of that? Anthony Davis, what do they call him? Street clothes. He's always hurt. Bronny James, the son. You know, I don't know. It seems to me, anyway, like a big headache. It did. It like, why do I need this? I've got a great thing going in an area that I love. My wife likes it. So, yeah, the Brad Stevens thing was interesting. I was talking to Brad when he first went to the Celtics, and there was never anything other than he was going to be the coach. And, you know, it morphed into what it's morphed into, where he's the executive of the year, which is a pretty good gig. But look, as I said, good for college basketball that Danny's back. Good for Danny. I think he got more money, man. And the Lakers will figure it out, I suppose, I guess.
Well, maybe J.J. Redick will finally get the opportunity. The head coach, they've been talking about that for weeks on weeks. Hey, tell me this, Dan. And listen, you were in the college hoops game forever and ever. And I hear you talking about it on OutKick. I mean, I'm down here in Alabama, and this revolving door, players in, players out. And obviously the basketball team has been the benefactor of some really great kids transferring in. It's lunacy, Dan, what's going on in college athletics. I love college sports, but it's just, I think it's headed for, I don't know, I think it's headed for trouble if it's not there already.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you on that. I just can't in my mind define what trouble is going to be.
Right.
And I'm kind of, you know, it's like this. It's like, if I always say this on my local radio show, if the Colts had free agency every year, or the Pacers had free agency every year, where, you know, they got this kid Halliburton and he's playing and you're paying him, but he's only going to be here for a year and then it's all opened up. It doesn't seem to me, and I've said this and I know I'm wrong, but at some point you got to protect the institution and the sport. I get it. We all got to kiss the ass of 18 to 23-year-olds. Okay, fine. That's the world we live in, I guess. I'll never understand that. Right. But you know, the sport, if the sport is taking hits, if the universities are taking hits, what's the return investment on paying a guy like my school? Indiana is paying guys, I'm being told, $3 million total to bring in 3 or 4 guys. All right, well, they did that last year. They didn't make the NCAA tournament. Well, what's the return investment on that? Why, if you're going to come to me as an alum, and here's the real bad part, I think. You come to an alum, you say, all right, we need $500,000 for Dan Dakich or Doug Bell. And Doug Bell doesn't play very well. Or Dan Dakich doesn't play very well. Well, now that guy who's the donor, it owns you. Like Pete Bell, actually, in blue chips. Like,
right.
You're asking these guys, and then that guy has power over the AD, particularly if he's a big-time donor, a lot of sports. Look, I'm not giving to this coach. Screw this coach. And that has already happened. That happened at Louisville, where Kenny Payne was awful, but they said in Michigan, too, where they're like, look, this coach sucks. He's selling us a bill of goods on these kids I'm paying. I want that coach out of there. And now everybody's beholden to the rich alum. Again, I don't know how to define it's bad for the sport, but it ain't good for the sport. Let me put it to you that way, all those things. I just think it. And then here's what's going to happen, Doug. I swear to God. It's going to be about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're going to see all of these kids talking about depression. We lost all our money. We don't have our money. And there'll be a few that took that money and did smart things with it. Oh, man, I don't know how I can live without, they're all going to be on Oprah's couch here pretty soon talking about it, man. And I hope not. I hope they're all smart enough to get an education and make the money last, but I ain't betting on it.
Well, Coach Saban got out for those same reasons you're talking about. What about Coach Izzo? How's he handling all this? I mean, I know you talked to him. Is he just going with the flow?
Oh, I get a text the other day after Charles Barkley and I were talking about all this, and he's like, I'm trying to help kids here by not paying them. And he's smart enough to go along with what he does, but he's one of the few guys that isn't out there making offers to everyone. And Calipari wasn't either. Maybe that was a problem. Now Calipari is. But Izzo is the one guy that's kind of standing strong. It was interesting. There was a guy named Bowen, and this kid's dad, he was from Michigan, and this kid's dad was soliciting offers before it was legal, and Izzo told him to kiss his ass, even though Izzo, the kid was from Michigan. A couple guys went to jail over this clown's recruitment. The kid never turned out to be worth a damn. And Izzo has told me, and I think he's doing it, he's just going to, if I'll get kids' name, image, and likeness deals, no question, once they're here, but I'm not paying. You know what I told Danny Hurley, Doug? I told Danny, I go, listen, here's what you need to do. He goes, you need to charge a cover charge. You need to tell kids, look, we're going to open all of UConn up to you. NIL, all the championships, great stuff, pro potential. But you're going to have to pay us a cover. You're going to have to pay us $10,000 to get this. Now, you're going to make that back 10 times, but you're going to have to pay us 10 grand. And Danny's like, that's the greatest idea. But I ain't doing it because I'd be out of business in 6 months because no one would do it. But that's what colleges ought to do. They ought to, hey, look, you want to play at Indiana? Great school. We're going to get you NIL money. We're going to take care. But you got to have some skin in the game because there's no skin in the game, Doug. A kid comes for what? He comes in what? Let's say a kid gets there in July or this time of year. The dude is out by April 1st, going on somewhere else or going to the pros. There's nothing that protects the schools. There's nothing, or the game, and I think it's crap.
Yeah, I love the plan. I love the idea, but I can see Uncle so-and-so and the other relative going, no, we're not paying. You're paying us, and it'll never work, right?
Right. Hey, I'm gonna go right here to Indiana where Woodson's gonna give me $500,000, and I don't have to put anything in it. I totally get it, but damn, we got the whole thing backwards, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be it's the Wild Wild West, and the next few years are going to be going down the roller coaster without a seatbelt. It's going to be crazy. Hey, I want to bring you back to golf just for a minute, and I know you love the game, and I'm out there all the time. Scotty Scheffler, by far the #1 player in the world. There's no argument there. But I wanted to ask you this: is Bryson DeChambeau the #1 most exciting player in golf, in your opinion?
It's funny you bring that up because I saw today the pairings, and
yeah.
Like Schauffele, Scheffler, and Rory, which is great, okay? But I said, I was at Oakland Hills when Phil and Tiger didn't talk to each other during the Ryder Cup, and that was awesome, right? I mean, all right, I get it. These guys are great players, and nobody's better. The 5 wins before U.S. Open, even Tiger didn't do that. It goes back to 80 with Watson. I get all that. But I said this, put Scheffler in there with DeChambeau. Just put DeChambeau in there, and it would look different to me, Doug. It would. It would look more interesting. I don't know. I know you got to win, and I know nobody's won more, and I know Rory's back and all that. But, yes, I was just talking about that today. Give me DeChambeau. You know what I mean? Or give me Rahm in there. Let him scream and yell and curse in Spanish. I don't care. Man, and DeChambeau is absolutely that guy, no question.
Yeah, Rahm's got the bad toe, so that's a golfer. The toe is a problem. Any other sport, they'd be enduring the pain. But anyway, that's kind of the fun thing about golf. And listen, DeChambeau's great, and his clubs are a story. The swing where he goes 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, and he's got percentages. There's nobody like him. I mean, he's really a brilliant guy. But I just think he's fascinating. And unfortunately, because it's the live thing, we only see him 4 times a year. And before I let you go, are we going to have this solved, the PGA Tour and live? I think it's obviously headed for some sort of kumbaya thing, maybe by the end of the summer.
I would ask you, but it seems to me, now, again, I watch golf. I like watching golf. It seems to me it has to.
Yes.
I get it. Look, there's a lot of great players. Every country club has a guy that's the greatest player ever, and he can't make it on tour, and all that kind of stuff. These are the greatest players, and everyone out there is unbelievable. But let's be honest, the leaderboards are lacking, right? I think anyway. I want to see, and again, I know he's put it on cruise control, Dustin Johnson on the board against Schauffele or against Scheffler or with Rahm right in there. I mean, to this day, Doug, I like dynasties. Like, I like seeing if champions can repeat. To this day, I'm watching Tiger Woods' group.
Yes.
I just am. And I know he shoots 29 in a practice round and we all get fired up. And but I like that. I just, they have to come together for this. They just do. I mean, again, everybody's making so damn much money. Don't kill the golden goose, man. It's like the women basketball. Don't kill the damn golden goose. Run a rising tide lifts all ships, whatever the hell it is. Just do that.
Well, they're going to come to an agreement. And unfortunately, the journeyman golfer, the young golfer trying to make it, is going to get left out in the cold somewhat. There'll still be regular tour events. But I think obviously the superstars are going to play more, make more. And they'll be playing weird times in the fall. And they'll be playing in Dubai. And they'll be playing in Japan and India. And it'll be football season for us. So, that's what's going to happen.
I got one last thing to say about golf. You ready? And I'm wrong about this, and so smack me around. But I've had enough of Joel Damon. I think Joel Damon needs to get his ass together. I know he's a cute guy on that show, but every time I see him, he talks about how hard he doesn't work. He's always hammered, and it's cute when you win. Like John Daly was awesome. I was there, sitting there at the PGA in '91, I think it was, right here at Crooked Stick. It's great. But I'm watching, my wife and I are watching. No, I get it. We're both coaches and, that crap. But damn, son, you got all this talent. Get off your ass, put down the booze for a minute, and be responsible. So I'm rooting for him, but I've had enough of him on that full swing. I just got to get that off my chest, Doug.
I hear you. I will say this, and you mentioned Tiger, and we talked about Scheffler a little bit. I mean, the great ones, they work. They work, and obviously you see what the results are, right? I mean, it's pretty simple.
Doug, I got guys, like, people ask me all the time about guys that I've been around in coaching. Like Calbert Cheney's the all-time leading scorer. Calbert Cheney's the all-time leading scorer in the Big Ten, and all he did was show up as an unheralded recruit, ride a bike to school every day. Alford ends up as all this kind of stuff. Isaiah Thomas and I were talking today, actually, on my show about how hard there's Kobe Bryant being there 2 hours before Olympic practice. LeBron James getting every ounce out of his body. Here in Indianapolis, the legend of Peyton Manning working out wide receivers at 6 a.m, before they were even introduced to, after being drafted. I mean, Tiger Woods beating balls crazy. I mean, look, it's that's what makes me nuts, seeing guys that get celebrated for not doing that. I get it. Everybody's got a personality, man. And if you win, I don't give a rat's ass what you do. Like, have the personality of this happy-go-lucky guy. Like Fuzzy Zeller had this happy-go-lucky whatever. But I know people that have known Fuzzy since he was that tall, and they're like, you have no idea how hard that dude worked. That kind of thing. I'm cool with that. But damn, don't squander talent.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Danny, we appreciate it, my friend. OutKick is, listen, every day, I like watching you, but sometimes I'm too busy, but I always catch those clips on X. Whoever does your work, your social media work, does a good job, because I love it when they clip the segments.
Well, it ain't me, brother. I'll tell you that. The hell ain't me. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, good luck with the golf tournament, and I look forward to talking to you down the road. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.